Hello, chess fans, and welcome back to St. Louis for our kickoff show for the 2019 St. Louis Norm Congress. My name is Ben Simon, and I'm joined by a man making his live commentary debut, our Grandmaster in Residence, Aleksandr Lenderman. Alex, it's good to be working with you, man.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show.
Likewise.
Yeah. So the purpose of this event is twofold. Of course, we're looking for winners. We're looking for winners of two different sections. We have a Grandmaster norm section and an IM norm section. Whoever comes in first, they're the champ. They leave with the money. Hooray. But also there's another facet of this event, and it is something called the norm. And I want to bring up right now, what exactly is a norm? It's complicated if you're not from the chess realm, and sometimes even if you're from the chess world, you don't know what a norm is. So here is what a norm is. It is an achievement. It is a notch in your black belt. If you get 3 of them, you are on your way to getting a chess title, be it International Master or the big one, the Grandmaster. So to earn a norm, a player must score quantifiably well. They must get a certain score in a tournament where at least 3 other players already hold the title being sought. So we will show you the fields coming up here soon. We have 3 Grandmasters in the GM norm field where players who are not Grandmasters are trying to attain that title. And then we have 3 International Masters in the second section, and then the rest of the players are trying to get that title. That's what that means. The average rating of all the players in the event must be above a minimum rating. 2380, the average for Grandmaster norms. Hey, we hit that. 2452 is the average for our Grandmaster norm section. And at least 4 national federations are going to be represented. We have those, actually 6 in our Grandmaster norm section, 5 in our International Master norm section. Now, to be fair, in larger events, you do need more than 4 federations, 4 nations to be represented, but we meet the qualifications here. Alex, this is a really exciting event, and you've made it, okay? You're the Grandmaster. What can you tell us about the norms?
Yeah, well, it's obviously very challenging. You have to play well throughout the whole tournament. You basically have to score at least, for example, if you want to get a Grandmaster norm, right? You need to achieve at least a 2600 FIDE rating performance. And in order to become a Grandmaster, your rating requirement is 2500 FIDE. So basically, even if you're already Grandmaster strength, 2500, you still have to perform over 100 points above your actual level. And if you're a 2450 player, then you have to score 150 points above your level. So you really have to have a very good tournament. You have to overperform. You have to be either in very good form. Sometimes you also need some lucky breaks at a couple of critical moments. Sometimes you might need both. But, you know, it's not a secret that you have to play very well in that tournament and play some very good chess.
And to get that, what we call the tournament performance rating, that is, if you only played this one tournament, based on this one tournament, what is your rating at the end of it? That's what the tournament performance rating is in a nutshell. To get that TPR, you do have to get X amount of points in this 9-round event. So for most players, that is 6.5 in to get like the GM norm or the IM norm. But there's other norms, possibilities on the line, possibly as well in this event. And also, all the players have different backgrounds. Some players have met all of the norm requirements, but they still have to make the rating threshold. We were talking about one of the players, Justin Wang, who he's clinched everything, we think, and he's an elect.
So. Yeah.
We'll have to check on that later on tonight. But let's see the players in this event, starting with our Masters division, our Grandmaster group. Now, you'll see at the top, JJ Ali Marandi. He's the highest rated player, followed by Jack Stambuliak. But we're talking like maybe we should focus more on the players who aren't most likely to win, because that's what this event is all about. It's about the underdog story, Alex.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And in such an even field where, you know, the players are all relatively similar in strength, it's very much a crapshoot of who will actually win the tournament. But I think everybody in this tournament has a reasonable chance of getting a norm, as long as they, you know, play very good chess in the tournament. So
for Brandon Jacobson, Casa Corley, Brian Escalante, Justin Wang, Andrew Hong, Joel Banawa, and Tatev Abrahamian. The goal is 6.5 points. 6.5 out of 9. That is not going to be easy, but there's a good reason. You get 6.5 out of 9 at the end of this thing, and you get a Grandmaster norm. Also on the line in this field, a couple of International Master norms possible for Justin Wang, who may or may not need it, and for Tatev Abrahamian, 4.5 points out of 9 will get you one of your 3 International Master norm requirements. What can you tell us about the players in this field? Who are you familiar with, Alex?
I'm familiar with all the players in this tournament. I've played at least 6 out of 10 here, and I've met most of them. I've played Brandon Jacobson quite a lot, as well as Casa Corley, because they're both from New York, so I've played them numerous times at the Marshall Chess Club, so I'm very familiar with their playing styles. I think they're both very talented, creative players who, on a good event, they easily can, get that 6.5. On a good day, they can play like a very strong Grandmaster. So, they're definitely very dangerous. And even, let's say, when they were lower rated, they've gotten, like, for example, Casa Corley got 2 draws off of me with black when he was less than 2,300 FIDE. And was winning in both games, actually, at some point. And Brandon, also, we played 2 long games. It was 2 draws. And that was a couple of years ago when he was around 2,300 FIDE as well. So they're definitely very much capable players. And now they're even stronger, even more experienced. I know Brandon lately has been on a tear, like winning tournaments after tournaments. And I see a great future for him.
He's only 15 or 16 years old.
Very young, so I easily see him as a potential future superstar, like strong Grandmaster, maybe even better than me someday. So we'll see.
Very good. And you're one of the best in the U.S., so that's saying something.
Well, that's not quite one of the best, but hopefully I still have room to improve. But thank you for your kind words.
You're one of the best. Okay, look, we have those elite guys who just moved in, but hey, come on. All right, let's take a look at our second group, the International Master Norm event. This we have 10 players here, including a player from the landlocked Burundi in Africa, representing Burundi, Ezra Chambers. So in this event, the players are going for the second most valuable title in chess, the International Master title. And we have Keaton Kira, Eric Rosen, and Luis Torres as our gatekeepers, but they're not the highest rated. By FIDE rating, we have Olivier Chiku Rata, and I'm going to check on that pronunciation in a couple hours, guys. Gary Shankur above them. And then down in the middle, Aaron Grabinski. We're very familiar with him, the National Master, who plays in many of our events here at the St. Louis Chess Club. Aaron Jacobson, who is actually Brandon's older brother by 4 years. Peter Giannatos of the Charlotte Chess Center, chess celebrity in his own right. And we mentioned Ezra, and then at the bottom, Rochelle Wu, no stranger to St. Louis competition as well. She's actually in the opening montage at the top of the show. She played in last year's Norm Congress. And in this event, to get International Master Norm, the requirement is 6.5 points. But for Rochelle, since she's the lowest rated, she'll be having the toughest schedule. She has it at 6 points. And also on the line, a Woman Grandmaster title for Rochelle. If she gets 6 points, she will also get a WGM norm as well. So, your familiarity with this field, Alex?
I think only Ezra Chambers. I'm not 100% sure if I'm familiar with him, but besides that, I'm familiar with all of them, and I've actually played the first 8 players in tournaments before. Some blitz, some longer games, but I've definitely played all of them, and again, they're all tough players. I mean, Gayuri beat me once when I was already a Grandmaster, and then a lot of them got draws off. Oh yeah, Aaron Grabinski recently beat me here in St. Louis in a decisive game in a small tournament. Oliver Chikorate drew me with black in a tournament, so they're all, again, very capable players, and all of them have a chance realistically to get the norm if they play very good chess.
And you might be sitting at home or your office or wherever you are thinking, where are the games? Show us the games. Well, the games will be live for you tonight at uschesschamps.com. Check it out at 5 p.m. Central Time. The games will be available in their DGT format, but we will be on the air every day at 2 p.m. to call the action mid-round for the most exciting parts and analysis. We will have interviews with the players as they win their games and come into the studio. But that's why we call this a kickoff show. This is the pregame, okay? We're going to be on for about 20 to 30 minutes here just to give you the lowdown on what's happening. But tonight at 5 p.m., uschesschamps.com, you can watch the games. And all along the way, be sure to join us on social media with hashtag NormCongress. We don't even have to say St. Louis because Norm Congress, you know what it's about. Hashtag NormCongress, and the YouTube chat will be open as well. Let's take a look at the tournament format. It's pretty easy to understand. It's classical chess, 2 10-player round robins. We just saw the fields. The time control is 90 minutes with a 30-second increment from move number 1. There is no second time control. The players have to keep notation for the entire time because of the increment. And we're going to get some good fighting chess out of this because of the increment. You get time to think. What do you think of this time control, Alex?
Oh, I think it's a very good time control. I mean, normally in, let's say, in a lot of chess tour events, we use a 10-second delay. And, here we use increment. That's a more standard FIDE time control. I think there are pluses and minuses for both. I think the main difference between the increment time control and the delay time control is obviously if you have increment, you can build up time. Which means, let's say, if you're pressing in a slightly better endgame, you have a more of a chance to grind that endgame out if you're playing with the delay, because opponent can't play easy moves and gain time on the clock, and you can really torture them for a long time. But with the increment, you have to really create more serious problems, more practical problems to, let's say, outplay the opponent. But, also 30 seconds is quite a lot of time to play a simple position, but still, the increment could be misleading, because if, let's say, you're in a very complicated position, 30 seconds per move, especially with nerves, won't quite be enough to figure out, let's say, very, very complicated positions. So either way, if it's very complicated, then increment or delay, it's close to the same. But if it's a technical position, then of course the difference between the delay increment is huge.
Tonight, 30 minutes before the start of the round, Executive Director of the Chess Club International Arbiter Tony Rich will be having a players meeting with all of the competitors, and it's very important that they listen closely, because if you think there's a second time control, you might be in a little bit of trouble at move number 40. There's no second time control. The most you're going to get is 30 seconds added on per move.
Yeah, there's one more thing I wanted to add, which is a very important rule, that to those of you who are maybe less experienced players, you have to write down every single move if you're playing with the 30-second increment, because 30 seconds is more than enough time to record your moves. So even if you're down, you always have at least 30 seconds on your clock, so that's why you have to always write down your moves at all times.
Absolutely.
Whereas if you're playing with delays, then of course, if you're below 5 minutes, you can stop recording moves. Unless you want to, let's say, try to claim a 3-fold repetition. In that case, you have to either have an arbiter there or you have to keep writing down moves. But luckily when it's 30 seconds per move and all the moves are written down, it's much easier for all these claims to be done. 3-fold repetition, 50 move rule, and so on and so forth, these claims.
Very well. Everybody in the chat, they're wondering, what is happening? There's no games. Oh gosh, everybody freak out. Yeah, like I said, 5 p.m. tonight, uschesschamps.com. It's just a kickoff show, guys. Stop freaking out. Let's take a look at the tournament schedule so there's no question about it when you'll be able to see the games as they're happening. Tonight, 5 p.m., round 1. And then tomorrow we have a typical schedule where it's very atypical, actually. 2 rounds per day, and then we finish off with the final 2 rounds. They get their own days. The FIDE requirements say that the event, to be a norm tournament, has to be at least 5 days long, and we've met all of the qualifications that were necessary. So some of these days, tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, they're going to be pretty intensive.
Well, there's actually one thing I want to add.
Go ahead.
So, as far as I know, and that rule kind of came into place recently, that as far as I remember, either one or two of your norms have to be 6-day events. It can't be that every single one of your norms is only a 5-day event. So that's why in St. Louis, instead of just having, let's say, one game, then two, we have, let's say, 1 game per day, 2 games per day, 2 games per day, 2 games per day, but then 1 game per day, 1 game per day, so that the event lasts 6 days. So that's actually also a very important factor, I think.
Yeah, this stuff is complicated.
A little bit, yeah, but...
I want to go back to the schedule here, because it's something important that you guys should know. Even though we have this 11 a.m., 5 p.m., those are the 2 times you need to remember through all this tournament, we are on the air at 2 p.m. every day, Central Time. So 2 p.m. will get you the best of rounds 2, 4, 6, and 8. And if anything really important happens in the other rounds, we'll take a look. Round 9, we're going to be on until the end of that. So we're going to be on starting at 2. We'll talk to the champions of the field, any norm earners. So 2 p.m. is what you need to remember to watch our wonderful broadcast with the world's greatest B team. But you can see the games as they're happening at uschesschamps.com on those fabulous Chess24 digital boards. Okay, let's take a look at the pairings for this evening if we have them. The Grandmaster norm section, I think the game that sticks out, well, let's go over them individually first. JJ Alimarande versus Casa Corley, Justin Wang versus Danish Borosh, Jack Stembuliak versus Brandon Jacobson, Brian Escalante versus Andrew Hong, and Joel Benawa versus Tatib Abrahamian. One of my two of my favorite chess players in the entire chess world, if I can be a little bit biased for a second. But that game in the middle, Jack Stembuliak and Brandon Jacobson, that's got to be our key matchup, because that's seed number 2 versus seed number 3. Does anything pop out at you tonight as we look forward to round 1 games?
Not yet, because I think that they're all, as I said, evenly matched, and they're all, having a chance, and they're all pretty close in rating. But yeah, I would agree with you. I think Evgeny Stambuliak against Brandon Jacobson is very important, because if Brandon can somehow start off well and win the game with black especially, then that can really set a tone. And when you're a young player trying to get a norm, it's very important to start off well, to really continue the momentum and gain the confidence. But also JJ Alimarandi against Casa Corley, because Casa Corley is a player who is capable of beating anyone on a given day, and Alimarandi is also a sharp, dynamic player. He's someone who plays and gives other people a chance to play, so that should also be quite an interesting game, I think. But I think any of these games can obviously become very interesting.
Yeah, and there's some new names here that we have not talked to in this event before, or the classics. I think the Norm Congress and the classics, they kind of go hand in hand. The seasonal classics I'm talking about, but even though the objective here is a little bit different, but my objective is to see all these new players that are coming into St. Louis. I think it's really fabulous. People like Brian Escalante and Casa Corley.
Brian Escalante, I believe, studies at the Webster University right now.
Exactly. And the local colleges are bringing in so many great players. It's just a hotbed.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's great for the chess scene that there are so many colleges, especially in Dallas and St. Louis, having so many very strong players, even strong GMs.
You know a little bit about that, I'd say.
Sure.
Let's take a look at our B group, the International Master Norm section. Luis Torres versus Keaton Kira, Aaron Grabinski versus Ezra Chambers, Peter Giannatos versus Gauri Shankar, Olivier Shikurata versus Rochelle Wu, and Eric Rosen versus Aaron Jacobson. Any games stick out to you in this field? This is very even as well.
I think the game that stands out a little bit is Oliver Chikorata against Rochelle Wu, because it's interesting to see. Rochelle is, I think, a very capable player, because she recently, seen her compete at the World Team Championship. I was also there, and she played some very great enterprising chess, winning against some very higher rated. So if she can get off, if she can, start off strongly against the top seed in the tournament, with black, that can really be a very big boost to her chances and to do very well in the event. And also watch out for Aaron Grabinski against Ezra Chambers, because Aaron Grabinski is someone I feel heartbroken for, because he actually has all his IM norms, and he came extremely close to reaching his 2400 FIDE rating, but then all he needed to do is just win, like, at some point one game against the lower rated, and he lost it, and now he's back to 2338. So I'm really also rooting for him to have a good tournament to get back and closer to 2400. For him, it's more about just playing good chess and getting back on track rather than getting that extra norm.
And I asked Tony Rich just to clarify yesterday about when you hit the rating threshold, how long do you need to stay there? And he said, hey, if you're there for one game and your live rating hits that magical number, you're in.
That's the point. That's the whole point. And for him, he just came very close. He hit maybe like 2390 or something, but then just couldn't get that one last win or something. And it's always very unfortunate that when that happens. So I really hope that, he'll be able to get to that rating sooner rather than later, and then just focus on his GM title.
And the players here are not just competing for norms, we also have fabulous prizes. We always take care of the players here in St. Louis. For our Grandmaster Norm group, $9,000 prize fund total, and the champion walks away with $2,000. In our International Master Norm event, $6,000 on the line, our champion leaves with $1,200. Okay, well, we are wrapping things up here on our kickoff show. Remember, tonight at 5 p.m. at uschesschamps.com, it's round number 1 of the 2019 St. Louis Norm Congress. Alex, any final thoughts before we see the games tonight?
No, I mean, I'm looking forward to watching these games. I'll make sure to tune in and see the games live today, so that I get a sense to see who's started off well and more to talk about tomorrow. But in general, what I wanted to share with everybody is how important it is. If you're really trying to get those norms, it's very important to, most importantly, psychologically, being in the right mindset. Because I remember in the first time that I got my norm, I was really tested. Like, there was tons of times during that tournament where I was offered draws early in the game or even before the game by GMs. And I declined them all. And then, it's basically the game of chess rewarded me, because in that tournament I was getting lucky breaks, and it's like I felt like I needed to take advantage of every single chance I had in that tournament, because later I started struggling in the second half of the tournament, but I felt like I needed every single one of my points to really get the norm. Whereas if I even once or twice took draws at some point in good positions, then I might have, the game of chess might have kind of turned his back on me, and I might have not gotten the norm. And I know I don't want to mention names, but I have friends who have struggled with the psychological part of it. I mean, they came very, very close to becoming GMs, but they just were often missing by a half point or 1 point, because psychologically they couldn't quite believe in at the wrong moment. They didn't quite play for a win when they should, or something like that, and then they just couldn't quite make it. So it's very important to be psychologically in the right mindset if you want to become a GM, or an IM for that matter. Because if you don't believe, then, nothing else will, it will be hard to compensate for that, if you know what I mean.
Exactly. Well, we have a lot in store for you the next few days, the next 5 days, as a matter of fact. Remember, uschesschamps.com tonight at 5 p.m. You can see round 1 games. And you were talking about our Group B field with Rochelle Wu, the bottom seed, taking on the top seed, Olivier Chikurata. That should be interesting, and much more. The next time you will see Alex and I will be tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central Time. We'll be in the midst of round number 2, and we'll bring you the best of that round and much, much more. So for the world's greatest production B team, Danny Machuca, the technical director, Isaac Schranz is graphics and audio, Eric Mosel is show designer, he's Grandmaster Aleksandr Lenderman. My name is Ben Simon. Until tomorrow, we say so long from the Show Me State.